explain the emergence of the very progressive mobile money payment system M-Pesa in an otherwise maybe less developed country like Kenya?
I think because it's a less developed country, there are opportunities. And some people say that in Kenya, we're blessed with many problems. Because the more problems you have, the more opportunities you have. And in Kenya, we had a problem in how you move money from one place to the next. And, the product came along and met that need perfectly.
So, on the topic of your work session later on, sustainability, can we go beyond the hype? Does sustainability only create additional cost? Or can it actually lead to more profitability by itself?
Actually, sustainability, running a sustainability agenda is quite the reverse. Because, let me give you an example. Once you start to check your carbon footprint, you start to realize the things which are contributing greatest to that carbon footprint are also the things which are driving cost. I work for one company, for example. Once we started to measure it, we realized that power was the challenge. And once we realized that and we started to cut back on use of energy and power, the cost line came down. So it doesn't drive cost at all.
That's very good to hear. You're also an agent of anti-corruption. So corruption is a disease from which many developing countries suffer and which is hard to get rid of. What do you suggest to fight corruption most effectively?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that you can't focus corruption on developing countries because there's a corruptor and a corruptee. And we have many, many examples of companies in the developed world that is driving corruption in the developing world. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, and the theme of this conference is the clash of the generations. The second thing is that the young generation, people of your age, need to stand up for it rather than simply follow the footsteps of your forefathers.
So how can we do that? If we work for the government or a company and we see corruption going on, how can we actually tackle it as young people?
Again, corruption always seems to be where people point a finger outwards, but not in it themselves. And I often give an example where I say to people, let's assuming you're running to catch the last possible flight to get to your daughter's wedding. And you encounter a policeman who, seeks to extract a bribe. Would you be happy to pay the bribe and catch the wedding, or would you be happy to miss the wedding and not pay the bribe? And often that's a dilemma which a lot of people struggle with a bit. So you have to start with yourself rather than start looking at other people. And secondly, I don't point the fingers at government because that's not where value is created. Value is created in the private sector, and it rolls down from there because government and the public sector don't themselves create value.
You've raised most interesting points. Maybe to conclude, all facts considered, do you think Africa, and Kenya in particular, are the next big investment theme for the finance world?
Well, I don't think it's a question of what I think. It's a question of the facts speak for themselves. So if you take our stock in Safaricom, we have seen a growth in international investors. When we listed, 15% of the floated stock was in foreign hands. Now it's more than 52%. So we're seeing a natural attraction to the emerging markets and indeed Kenya in particular. So you have like three big destinations. You have South Africa, you have Kenya, and you have Nigeria.
Sounds all very interesting. Thank you very much, Mr. Collymore, for joining us.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you.